G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Recently, I've been going through the comments of my latest video on top tier jets and some of the issues discussing, the things that I find frustrating. In the comments section, a lot of you guys actually put forward some very, very interesting and respectful, and I really appreciate the respectful part, respectful discussions, interesting points. Something that maybe I can take away and learn for myself. And remember, the whole point of YouTube here, especially for myself and for the community, is to learn something new. If I can come away from this and learn something new, and you can do the same thing too, then we both have a lot more at our disposal. We have a lot more we can do, we learn a lot together, and we grow as people, which is the important part. Because at the end of the day, if we were to walk away from this game, maybe we would not, gain anything from it. And I would like to gain something from this at the end of the day, something big for life. And, all this aside, a lot of you have suggested that, hey, perhaps climbing is actually not a bad thing. Perhaps maybe there is something else to it. And a lot of people did actually stress this in the comments. So what I'm going to do in this match is take it slow and really easy. And I'm going to play my altitude, and I'm going to work my way down, kind of like props. It's kind of different, and it's interesting. And we'll talk about exactly what happens in this battle as it comes along. But for now, I'd just quickly like to mention that this particular skin is a marketplace skin. It's the War Thunder League Grand Finals stuff. So, it's really cool. It's a bloody cool skin. And if you want to pick it up, that's on the marketplace. It's fantastic, honestly, and it was designed by the esports coordinator, and I think it's cool. I think it's great. Don't buy it if you don't want it, obviously, but it's there if you want it. So, the T2, in my opinion, it's the best jet in the game. It's better than the Phantom. It's better than the MiG-21. It's better than the MiG-19. It's better than, in my opinion, a lot of the jets in the game. It's just weird to fly. And it's kind of frustrating that it's at top tier because of the spotting system. That's the main gripe for me. Because if something's within 5 kilometers and it's in clear sky, then I don't see why it shouldn't be spotted. I've had plenty of situations and it's frustrating. But regardless, I'm going to put my altitude to good use here. You can see I'm just starting to hit the supersonic speeds, and a lot of the enemies are starting to filter through down below. A couple of them are starting to filter through up top though, and this is where I find my first engagement. I find the MiG-19 there, and I'm going to turn in, and you can see that because I don't have that low altitude, I'm not able to just snap around as quickly as I thought I might be able to, which is, for me, one of the downsides of climbing in jets. But at the same time, one of the benefits is having that ability to, one, gain some separation, two, reach your, your top speed, even though your acceleration's not really there. But at the same time, it gives you a bit of separation. And honestly, that is probably the most valid reason that I would see to climbing in jets. That separation. Because a lot of the time, people don't really rush and climb together. And this is what I want to start talking about in videos. A lot of the community in War Thunder just plays for themselves. And I can understand. You have a lot to grind. You have, kills that you need to get. People are selfish. People steal kills. People strafe on the runway. Jets are very hard and difficult to play, especially if you just buy your Hunter FGA-9. You might come from arcade and find that jets are not fun in arcade. And the rules in arcade are a lot, well, the unspoken rules, rather, are a lot different. You don't kill steal. If someone's burning, you leave him alone. Because otherwise, how would you feel if you're on a 15 versus 15 and one of your potentially valuable kills gets taken? I would be upset too. And in this case, it seems like the team is not quite crumbling apart, but everyone's taking it slow. That's another thing I'd like to say. No one here is committing to head-ons. I almost committed to a head-on and died, but I pulled off at the last second. Never commit to a head-on. Never go all in. Always play a little bit sheepishly, if you don't, for lack of a better phrase. Now, this MiG-21 is playing a little bit irresponsibly here. He's going for the I-225, which I don't really like props in jet matches, but in this case, it's benefited me in a little bit. And it's going to benefit me in a couple of ways. You can see that it's stalled out the MiG-21, and it's now drawn the attention of the MiG-19 quite briefly, who's fired a missile at me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself into a turn, and I'm going to try and bait for my team. I'm going to try and get this MiG slow, and then I spot another couple of planes. Now, this is what I mean by the spotting system being a little bit funky. That guy's pretty close, and he's spotted by allies, and yet I only saw him quite late. I'd like to see him a little bit further, because it helps me with my decision making, and it helps me, especially at jets with a closure rate of incredible proportions. This is some of the quickest closure rates in the game. In fact, it is the quickest if you discount the missiles. You can see I'm in a dogfight, and even though he's 1.5 kilometers away, he can still pretty much take me, and he'll close that distance if I decide to turn. And you can see that I'm turning here, and he's closing in quite fast, and we're not even supersonic. We're very, very well and truly subsonic. I'm going to try and dogfight him a little bit here, and the T2 is not really the best at dogfighting. It's more a sort of energy fighter. It's got 2 engines with plenty of thrust, so it's got plenty of acceleration, decent climb rate, and it's sort of kind of like the MiG-19, but for a little bit higher speeds. If you're at like 1,000 kilometers per hour, for example, you'll be a little bit better off in a turn fight, but as soon as you drop to below 600, below 700, you're pretty much screwed. It's not really the ideal plane, and don't even try and fight a MiG-21 at that speed, because you just won't get off on the right hand. Anyway, you can see here that that MiG-19 there is baiting the other MiG-19 into a turn, and I can see something coming around on my 6. That is a MiG-19 again. We're in a little bit of a tough dogfight here, and you can see that this MiG-19 here is in a little flat spin. So I'm not gonna touch him. I'm gonna leave him alone. I'm gonna let that other MiG-19 take the well-deserved kill, because you work really hard for kills in jets, and you deserve every single one if you get them into a flat spin or if you set them on fire. If the fire goes out, then they can come back and claim their kill. I'm not going to steal that, because I think that's really scummy. So we've got the T2. I pull a quick head on, and I dive straight away for speed, and then I turn twice, because a single turn here is not going to be enough. He's going to be able to snap onto that, and he's going to take me out, and I don't want that to happen. Phantom comes in as well, and I'm going to turn and try and avoid the T2 and the Phantom at the same time, and the T2 has now been slowed enough for my team to come in and take that kill. You can see he's got to now extend because of the I-225, and this is where I can put a missile in to make him turn. If I can force him into a turn, then maybe that MiG-19 can get the kill, and it looks like it has forced him into a turn. The other MiG-19 is coming back, and it's time to gain a little bit of speed. I'm going to put myself into a dive and then go vertical straight away, because that little first turn, you can kind of beat that. I miss my shots, but that's okay. Now my team has put themselves into a situation where we can make some sort of advantage off these slow jets. And you can see I send an AIM-9E on the way, and I don't know where that goes. AIM-9Es seem to be really funny and weird. Now, I'm going to go for this MiG-19. You might have thought, go for the T2. It's the bigger threat in this case, because the T2 can, jet away. I've got no more AIM-9s left, stuff like that. But I'm going for the MiG-19 because he's on the 6 of the other MiG-19. And it turns out that, he was the bigger threat. I ended up, losing my teammate, which is never a good thing. Your teammates, whilst they're not always reliable, they're, at least there sometimes. And they can be used as bait if need be. But you can see I managed to just get that MiG-19S, and with stealth belts for some reason, because the T2 is equipped with stealth. I don't know why. But I'm going to go in vertical again, and I'm going to try and bait this T2. You see, baiting in the T2 is a viable solution. You can see in jets that this thing has a lot of thrust. It doesn't quite have the low speed handling like a MiG-19 or a MiG-21 might, but it's certainly up there. And if I can bait this T2 for the F4C, you can see he's closing really, really quickly, because this is jets after all. I'm just going to try and keep him stalling, and there we go. Absolutely beautiful missile, and the Phantom did an incredible job of reading that situation really well. Now, this other F4 Phantom I have to go and help out now, because he is being chased by an FGR2, and whilst I don't really know the difference between the FGR2 and the F4C, I really don't care, to be honest, because what we need to do is make this guy, commit back to hangar. So how are we going to do that exactly? Even if he's slightly faster, maybe we can have some missiles. Maybe I can bait him out into a running engagement so that my other teammates can land and get their ammunition back. I need to find a way to get this victory, and I think stressing the victory here is more important than stressing the kills. I honestly think that the RP for victory should be a lot higher than it is. And you know what? To trade that off, the RP for kills can be less. The RP for ground targets can be less, as long as the RP for a victory is increased, because then that way people will play their planes properly, they won't suicide, they won't, they'll play smarter, and they'll be forced to work together to earn better RP. This way, we have a better system to encourage players to work together. I know it's an online game, and this does not happen. I've played plenty of Siege, I've played plenty of other online games, and teamwork is just not something that comes to mind with teams. Especially in games that involve vehicles, and in games where the chat is minimalistic. There's no real use of voice chat. There's no anything in War Thunder that you can even compare to a shooter, for example. And the teamwork in shooters is garbage most of the time. So encouraging teamwork by increasing the reward for a victory, in my opinion, is the way to go. I'd love to see a lot more teamwork in War Thunder, and I think that is the biggest thing that War Thunder is missing as of late. There's just no sense of community, no sense of teamwork, no sense of people working together for a common purpose. And that is what gets people the joy, and that should be what gets people the RP. That victory is the thing that people should be craving for, not the kills, not necessarily anything special. Like, I don't know, maybe they can get one good reversal, or maybe they can get a nice bait. And whilst they're not rewarding, you will be rewarded when the victory comes in hand, and you get smothered in RP and lions for that. I would much rather see that than everyone be extremely kill hungry and selfish. Because at the end of the day, what makes a good game is a good community. And if you don't have a good community that works together and at least somewhat sees eye to eye, then you're not going to have a good, long-lasting game at all. Anyway, ladies and gents, 3 kills in the T2 is not really that bad. It's not as many as I would hope for, but we got the victory, which is the main thing. But anyway, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you take something away from it. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.